Okay, so I think right off the bat, I would say there isn't really a lot of white space. Like this is a lot. This is like just like an info dump visually. Um yeah, like I mean like for example, right? Like this top bar right here, like you don't need extended all the way. Um it's hard to read. Like you got muted text going on here. You have a bullet over there at the end for no reason. Like right away, I think there's a lot of inconsistencies that I'm seeing visually, and there's just it's just too much. Like it's just kind of like bam, like here it is, like all text, and there really isn't a lot of formatting. There's also inconsistent spacing going on over here, right? So like your technologies and tools. So you have no spacing here, but then there's a spacing between this. So it looks like your columns, like I think you're working with, went off. Um, Same thing over here. Like there's a lot of inconsistent spacing going on. So I think like at a first glance, if I haven't even kind of looked at the technical information right away. One, it's too much. Two, it's inconsistent. And three, there's no white space. So let's talk about white space. Let's talk about contrast. Okay. So the way that I like to think about it, back in art class, contrast is good, and the reason why contrast is good is because it creates a differentiation of what your eye can focus on, right? It's kind of like if I kind of bring my hand up closer, and the back will kind of like blur out a little bit because it wants you to have a focal point. um Eyeliner, right? So like when people put eyeliner on, like it brings out the white in the eye. That's what makes the eye look good. It's not the eyeliner per se, it's because there's a black line and the white sticks out more. So you have this contrast that happens. That's what they like to use it as an example in art. Because if you can have differentiation of what you should focus on right away, then it's just more visually appealing. So this resume definitely is lacking that. I would say that would be a major thing to do right away, because it doesn't matter how good your information is here, that can immediately turn off a recruiter and kind of it'll lose their interest. So you really want to make sure your formatting and visual presentation is good. Make sure there's contrast. Make sure there's white space. And if you're going to bold something, right, like you've bolded technologies and tools, it's kind of lost. And then again, like the muted text. So right off the bat, there's that. Let's take a look at so LinkedIn is good. You don't have random numbers after. I would recommend to maybe have, I mean, that's fine if you want to keep your GitHub like that. I would keep it a little bit more, have like a professional GitHub, maybe like your name or something, because there's a bit of a contrast over there too. So let's take a look at the professional summary. A highly skilled cybersecurity professional with a master's in computer science, concentrating on cybersecurity and extensive experience in teaching, software development, and cybersecurity. Okay. So you're highly skilled, you have a master's, but you're also concentrating on cybersecurity, and you're a teacher, but you also do software development and cybersecurity again. That's a really, like, it looks like you pack too much. I would recommend you stick to one thing. Like, what are you trying to communicate here? Are you trying to communicate that you're an analyst, that you're an engineer, that you're an academic, that you're a student, or you're a software developer? So that'd be my advice, like right off the bat. So you also have proven ability, network protocols, security architecture, and incident handling procedures with a strong programming. So like you've told me that you're multiple things here. So if you're applying to a job, you're trying to solve a business problem. If you put a generalized summary, then it's saying that you're only good for a generalized ability. You can put your general years of experience, but the first thing you say right off the bat, like your first sentence, should be specifically what it is that you are good at and what you do and how you'll solve the business's problem. Then your second point can couple that with your additional years of experience and other things. So 6th degree, yeah, I mean, like she can be all the above, but are you looking to hire a generalist, or are you looking to hire someone to solve a specific problem for you? And I think that's what you have to think about when you're building your resume. First time chat, Zen. Welcome. I think that's the Zen. So, Aditya, that'd be my recommendation, is make this way more specific. Add your experience afterwards. And use your focal point. Additionally, a master's is going to be communicated inside your education anyways. So you're sort of repeating yourself. And I typically don't recommend students to, or anyone really, for any type of field. Like, you don't want to have a statement here and a statement over below as well too. Like, if you put Master of Science, like, we know that. Like, we're going to see that anyways. Stick with one thing, add your years of experience after. Technical skills. So network protocols, TCP/IP, security architecture, MITRE ATT&CK. So MITRE ATT&CK framework is not a skill. Neither is network protocols. NIST handling procedures could be. Okay, so so like risk management and threat analysis could be a skill you can put up on top there, but network protocols, MITRE ATT&CK framework, firewall is not a skill. So a good portion of these are not skills. That is talking about technical competency. And technical competency should be communicated by your experience and what your actual skills are. So if you had something like enterprise network migration and infrastructure management, that tells me everything I need to know. I know you understand network protocols. I know you understand security architecture. I know you understand IDS and IPS. So think about more of skills being job task related. That would be my advice for you here, is to change your skills up more towards that direction, because a lot of these are just technical competencies that are part of skills. And then you're kind of doing right here, right? Like technologies and tools, Linux, Windows. Linux and Windows is assumed knowledge. Like, you should have that already. Git would be good to put as well. I would recommend to maybe make it 2 columns. And make the first column like your job tasks and skills that you're good at, and then make your second column about your technical competencies. That'd be my recommendation over here for you. Certifications don't go under technical skills either. So you definitely want to put that should be underneath like education and certs in one category. So that's a bit of an inconsistency. Education, so yeah, the master's is good. This is good that you're specifying concentration. I don't like that your GPA is all the way in the corner. That's like, this was hard to see. And it's not just because I'm zoomed in. But yeah, kind of hard to see. If your GPA is a 3.93, which is really good, maybe bold that. Maybe put that somewhere right away, because it's kind of hidden in the corner. And again, with the lack of white space, it's hard to discern that. Relevant coursework, I think you're throwing in a lot of ATS kind of buzzwords here. I would put a project. Like, it's kind of assumed. If you have a master's in computer science for cybersecurity, you should have this stuff. Like, we know that. If I'm a recruiter, if I'm hiring an analyst or an engineer, I know that's what you're going to be studying anyway. So I would recommend you to go ahead and maybe just choose a project or two that you'd really like to showcase and highlight. And that communicates your value a lot more. Way more. Bachelor of Tech, Computer Engineering. Good. Yeah, so that's fine too. Perfect. Nice to the point. Again, if you have a project to highlight, be punchy with it. Chat saying resumes at 11 and headers 12. Would your advice be body text be 12 point? Have some differentiation. It honestly doesn't really matter too much about your text size, so long as it's within that like 11 to 14-ish range. Like, that's typically good. Just have some different sizes Headers should always be one font or two more. Have some white space in between. I would go 12. I think having a bigger text right away, just to kind of communicate your needs, is better, especially when you're new. When you have a lot of experience, you might need to decrease the font so you can fit more in your resume. Kumo, what's my take on pursuing? I wouldn't put pursuing. So this section here should go underneath your education. You should put the date that you have it scheduled. And if you don't, at least hold yourselves to something and say if you're going to get your CEH, maybe you're going to get it in September 2024. Put September 2024. At least that way you can communicate that you have your exam booked and you are going to get it by that date. Yeah, Dora. So Will's saying, yeah, like put your biggest stuff, like the things that you know is exactly what they're looking for in the job description, or your strongest things, right at the top, the biggest font, bold, white space in between. Like, I should look at the first half of your resume, and that should be enough to be like, okay, I want to read more. If I look at it for the first half and I'm already turned off, you're going to have to really sell me on the later portions. Let's take a look at the professional experience now. So, conducted in-depth analysis. Yeah, so cybersecurity consultant's good. Xcode and Tech India may. In-depth analysis of product software to identify potential vectors. Proposed and documented effective countermeasures to enhance software security and mitigate identified vulnerabilities. So this is, I mean, this is good information. But this is just a description of what your job is. There's a problem with that. So if I'm a recruiter, so cybersecurity consultant's kind of vague because that could mean a lot. You could be GRC, you could be pen testing, you could be a virtual CISO. Like there's a lot of things you could be. I would instead recommend put cybersecurity consultant maybe with like brackets of what your specialty is, what you offer, and then change this up because I know based on what you've told me on your job title, pretty much what you do. And then your first bullet should be punchy right away on a metric or something you've contributed to at the business or project that had a meaningful purpose. Like it did something good. If it had business value, that is your first bullet point. And ideally, that business value is under a cybersecurity context and a cybersecurity lens. What that means is you've reduced cyber risk. That should be your first bullet point. Over here, you haven't communicated that to me. You've described that you have some experience from May to August. So you did a short-term contract. And it sounds like you just did the job, which is fine. That means you have some experience. But if I'm looking at your resume side by side with someone else, and they have cybersecurity consultant, and they're able to reduce the overall number of high vulnerabilities detected on scans by 10%, I'm going to go with the other person. Because that means that they can communicate right away that they've been able to do something for the business. There's business value to them. So I would change the way that you're wording this entirely. This is better. So associate software development engineer, reduced by 70%. Perfect. More of this. Reduce module integration time. Good. More of that. These are good. Now, my advice to you over here would be if you are applying for a cybersecurity position, just make this a little bit more security centric, because this tells me you've done some good things from a comp sci perspective. Great. But I don't know if you have any cybersecurity experience from this job. So it makes me question, like, that means this point should be really good. Like, your first one should really communicate your cybersecurity experience, because this one is not. It's just telling me you have good IT and dev experience. So you have to balance it. So add some security centric points to to that part of your resume. Security engineer intern at Color Text India, conducted periodic user tests. So yeah, good. You know, kind of the same problem though. Like, it's just a description. If you don't have metrics, then it is what it is. But try to focus on some type of metric. I would expand more on what you've done for ensuring compliance with security policies. Chat, just a stupid question. Is it okay to mention a certification if expired? The majority of the time, leave it out. However, if you don't have a lot of experience, or if it is applicable to something, then yes, put it on there if you have the real estate. Bert, have a good day. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, I would really... It would be a rare occasion I would put an expired cert on my resume. I did that once when I was applying for specific types of ISO focus certification jobs, like in auditing. I have a really old certification in ISO 9001, 2008, and it's expired. But if I were to apply for it today, I would put that on my resume, that I had a lot of experience in the past. And yes, it's expired, but it is still applicable. It means I can renew it. So there's a caveat. More often than not, no. But if it does provide some more value, then yes. Yeah. See you, Bert. Cool. Thanks, Six. Yeah. We hit our goal. It increases it automatically, so I don't know. I don't even know what it's adding. Yeah. Good stuff. You guys enjoying, by the way? Like, is this helpful? I don't know if we're gonna get through every resume today, but is this helpful? Yeah? Cool. Because I think the points that are on this resume are probably going to be applicable in some ways to the other ones that I'm seeing. And look, like, I'm not, like, the grandmaster of resumes. It's just, I've submitted a lot. I've hired quite a bit in my experience. So these are things that I would look out for right away. Zen, good to have you here. Yeah, I've got yours, actually. Yours is up next. A senior SRE. Yeah, you like that red ink roast? Part of me kind of enjoys it. I can be a little critical, I know that. But it comes from a good place. It's a good... comes from my heart. I just want to see you do good. Cool. Let's take a look at the rest. Okay, so hands-on projects and experience. All right. So you got BTL. Good stuff. That is solid. Kind of looking at your experience over here. You've got really good personal experience. So let me kind of bring up your experience here in the chat for everyone to see. This is really, really good. I think you can change the wording a little bit so that it's a little bit more focused on like business value related things, because it's still quite a bit of like buzzwords and keywords, which is fine. I get what you're doing. But if you were able to talk a little bit more about one or maybe 2 to 3 specific triage scenarios that you work through, you wouldn't have to tell me about a lot of these things. Like I would know that if you were to describe maybe like a digital forensics case where you're able to find traces of fileless malware being active and captured memory samples, amazing. Like that is really, really good. And that would tell me that you're familiar with tools like FTK, like Volatility, like Ghidra. Like if you could put something like that, that is a little bit more communicative of what you're capable of doing based off your home lab experience, as opposed to just tool exposure. Tool exposure, I could read a blog and put that on my resume and talk about it in an interview, but it doesn't mean I can do anything with it. And that's what recruiters are going to be thinking too. So Your experience is good, but you need to make it more that business value, job related, what you're actually able to do from either an analyst, engineer, or any of the other types of positions that you're looking for inside of cyber. I'm assuming analyst and engineer, but if you're thinking from GRC, it's got its own kind of centric stuff. So yes, awesome. Like this is really good. I would almost argue that you might, if you could clean up your starter area, you could probably beef up that home lab right away because it's so applicable. And remember what I'm talking about, right? Like the chronological order of things. You want to communicate as effectively and as efficiently as possible right away that you can do the job and solve the business problem that they're putting in the job posting. Your home lab experience over here and personal training is a stronger selling point than your work experience here because the way you've worded it. So I hope that helps. Think about chronological value. Yeah, really good home lab experience. Let's just to make this easier, I'm gonna try to bring that last portion up on the stream. Yeah, okay. So competing and teaching. Yeah, see, like this is too bad. Like the best part of your experience is here in the bottom. Like this is really good. So teaching assistant, you create and scripted over 100 elaborate Python test cases for automated testing. Well, what type of automated testing though? That could mean anything. Is it like dev testing? Is it security pipeline? Is it somewhere in the code? The teaching is good. Delivered a guest lecture in malware forensics? That's huge. So you taught malware forensics. That is huge. That should be like right up there. That should be, so yeah. I think the common theme here with you, Aditya, is that your experience, like your best stuff, is at the bottom. That needs to go higher. You need to be more descriptive from a business value perspective throughout and trim out the buzzwords a little. And you need to clean up your formatting and presentation. And your resume is going to be good. Real good. Real good. Zen saying, "Why you gotta put it?" Zen, you're a senior SRE. Yours should be good. I'm gonna take a look in a moment. Should internships be described as well or just listed? Internships are okay. So CI experience is experience. If you never had a cybersecurity job, but you have a GitHub with a security tool that you've developed and companies are using, that's huge. Like, that's amazing. Like, yeah, you never got paid for it, but businesses are using your security tool inside of their workplace to minimize their attack surface or their cyber risk. That should be like right up at top. So don't think so much about experience as like I have to have a job that's going to give me a cybersecurity job. Not necessarily. It's just how strong your resume is. That's what you need to think about. Yes, Captain Wolf. Work experience is greater than tools. And it could be personal experience too. This is why home lab, like, it's so crucial. Cool. Okay, well, that's Aditya. You'll be in the VOD over there and the recording on YouTube after. Zen. 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 Tell me you're from the military if you're not from the military when you have a resume like this. So you got a ton of experience, man. Let's take a look at this. Okay. So you're a senior SRE. If that's what you are, if that's the job that you're trying to get, then that's what you should call yourself over here. You're telling, if you're applying for any other type of job inside of cybersecurity, if they don't need someone like that, or if they don't understand what that means well enough to solve their business needs, that's a turnoff. But if it's what they need, it's right on point. That would be something I would be cautious about. It's okay if you want to be confident and you just want to kind of declare yourself that this is what you are, great, but that better be then what you're applying for. The summary is really long. Identify opportunities for appropriate cost effectiveness. Okay. So I think Zen, your summary is basically telling me that you're a seasoned professional that's been around the block, you've learned a lesson or two, and you're ready to step into that type of role again at another company. I don't know what you've been able to accomplish yet, though, in that summary. Like, if I'm reading it, like, specific, it's basically saying, hey, trust me. So it's like, hey, I'm really good at a lot of things, I got a lot of experience, and trust me. That's not bad, but don't trust Zen. So I would say if you want to use up that much of your resume and that much real estate right away for hey, I'm really experienced, this is like a third of your page, like that first portion. That's a lot. I'd really recommend to minimize and reduce that and maybe consolidate it into 1 or 2 sentences at most. Bring up the spacing a little bit, because I think you're losing some real estate here, man. I think that you could have some better things here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So, like, I think it's good to have a statement of commendation over here, essentially, like someone really vouching for you, that they're high-ranking officer. That is something that I would say is subjective to what you're applying for, because again, for the first half of your page now, you're basically saying, hey, I've got a lot of experience and someone even vouches for me, and that's good. But a recruiter's really going to have to kind of go out on a limb here and say, okay, like that's good, but I still want to know more. And I think that's what I'm trying to communicate to you here is, while this is all good, I still have to now go through the rest of your resume to vet that you are what I want. So you have to ask yourself, like, how valuable is that then? And I think that's the point I'm really trying to communicate to you here is, if you just consolidate this a little bit more, then you can get right to the punchy stuff. Because you're still going like with a summary. Like, you're still summarizing yourself for, I guess, now 2/3 of your page. It's too much, man. Choose 1 to 2 things that you want to communicate, and then summarize that into 2/3 of your resume. That's what I'd recommend. So you need to determine what is good for you to do that. Web development is nice to hear. external clients for 20 years. This is all good stuff. Not everything is applicable here, though. Like, I think maybe you could summarize a lot of this into... How many years experience you have over here? So, like, you started programming at the age of 7. That's not... Like, you could trim that. Like, what did you solve for business at 7? What did you build at 12? It sounds cool. Like, I'm going to like you. I'm going to be like, hey, this guy's kind of cool. Like, he's doing stuff. He's, like, always been around tech. He's probably, like, building stuff and gaming and whatever. And seems like a pretty cool guy. But what are you going to do for my business? Because I'm going to assume, like, any kid that's been messing around with computers at 7 and 12 was probably building their own PCs and gaming, too. You could summarize this entire section over here of, I'm going to say, for over 20 years? I mean, yeah, put that. 20 plus years experience in senior security profession or senior security roles, ranging from policies, governance, team management. Like, that's where you want to throw this. With proven results of reducing and mitigating cyber risk for companies in industry verticals A, B, and C. And that's it. Like, that's enough. That is enough. And then you can put your commendation, maybe kind of reduce it a little bit, but then put your commendation below. And there you go, man. So you could definitely trim this whole 2/3 section down to maybe like a quarter to a fifth, and then you can get right into the professional experience. Because it's all really interesting, but you could definitely consolidate it. And then let's see, okay, so now that we know he's seasoned and he has years of experience, let's see what he can actually do. So since 2021, he's been an SME, solutions architect, Fort Stewart. So if you delivered immediate business impact, then you should be able to tell me how you did. Like, what did you do then since 2021? Did you reduce loss? Did you reduce downtime? Did you reduce spend? Did you reduce vulnerabilities? Did you improve ticket resolution time? Did you improve infrastructure build pipeline time? Did you reduce code along the pipeline? Sorry, not code. Code-related vulnerabilities along the pipeline. So if you've been working since 2021 and you delivered immediate business impact, I want you to tell me exactly how. And I need a metric. Because this sounds good, but you need to tell me exactly what you did. Mentored 4 new hires. I think, so mentoring and leading and developing culture is really strong, but maybe tell me what happened with those 4 new hires. Did they stay in the company? Did they progress? Like, did you mentor 4 new hires and then they progressed into senior security positions within the company? Or was that it? Because if that's the case, then it just sounds like you're the onboarding guy. So you've got some room to improve this. Tell me what happened with those 4 new hires. Tell me how your culture has improved at the company. Provide expertise as a contractor to establish brands of South Cernic. That's really good. Which marked the foundational shift in operations. Okay, so yes. So finally, at the bottom of the page, I know that you've saved thousands of man hours annually. So you see what I'm saying, man? Like, you have really good experience, but it took me to the bottom of your page to understand a demonstrable metric of what you've been able to do. And I know you have more experience and more metrics to tell me more specifically your value. Reading this, I know there's a lot more you can tell me about business value. I didn't have to get to the bottom of the page to find that out. Yeah. Oh, chat was actually cut. 1 second. There we go. Yeah. So Zen, like, I mean, I hear you, and like, it is so hard to, it is so hard to have to basically like humble brag yourself. But I guess have you ever heard the saying that when you change the way that you see things, the things you see change? I think if you look at it like that, and if you put it and you change the mindset a little bit here, that you're trying to describe the value you've had and improved for organizations and people in the world, and you're proud to say that about yourself and communicate that to a job posting or a recruiter, your perspective might change a little bit, because it's not that you're selling yourself anymore. You're telling someone how you can do good for them, and they may need that. So maybe think about it like that, and then think about all of the good things that you've done for people and for businesses over the years you've had experience in, and then tell someone what you did and how you can now do more of that for them. Because clearly you enjoy it. Everything you're telling me about here from your reference, you're a pretty stand-up guy. Like, you're well respected. You've developed culture. You've been in management positions and leadership positions. People like you. People listen to you. People like your direction. So maybe they need that. I think it's a little self-deprecating that you've got going on over there, man. Crothers. Okay, so let's move on to your next bit of experience over here. So you're also a business owner and consultant, which is fantastic. That means you understand fiscal responsibility, and you also understand business solvency. It's two important things. That's something that you'll really only learn when you're in management positions or you're responsible for things at a business other than your daily job duties. And that is huge, because at the end of the day, cybersecurity is a cost center. We're trying to reduce business risk via cyber risk, and cost is a huge factor. And if you can talk about how you've had to manage financially as an owner and consultant at your business and for others to improve their business operating expenses by mitigating cyber risk, then I better see a lot of that here. That's part one. And I don't see that. I see a lot of technical experience, which is really good. But you're selling yourself short over here, man. As a business owner, you definitely can communicate that right away. You can start thinking and improving the bottom line for a business. And that's what they're looking for. Businesses are made to make money. Well, profit ones, for profit. You're missing that. I would say add that here somewhere. Talk about how you've been able to improve the financial bottom line by managing or mitigating cyber risk in some shape or form. And add a bullet point over here. And then maybe talk a little bit more about the technical metrics. So you've architected and developed. A lot of this is like description of like, hey, I've done a lot of good technological stuff. But again, I need something to tell me how you've improved someone or something or some business, because you've been doing this since 2014. Surely you have some business value here. That'd be my advice over here, Zen. Description's good. Your technology is not in question. You seem very technologically competent and capable. Competencies communicated clearly. You're not just throwing out buzzwords at me, but you're a little too descriptive. And you're missing the business value of being an owner or consultant. Okay, CTO. All right, now we're talking. So equip the company to grow revenue from 1 to 12.5 million. You 10x'd a company. Zen, you 10x'd a company. And this is on this the 2/3 line of your second page of your resume. Why is that on this the 2/3 section of your second page of your resume when you 10x'd a company? You also 4x'd a company 4 years in a row. Or sorry, fastest growing company in America for 4 years in a row. Oh, almost 4 years in a row, from 2016 to 2020. Yeah, I mean, like, it's part of the job, man. But if that's part of the job, then why isn't that at the top of your resume? Remember, if you're trying to apply for a job and it's for a company, they want to know how you're going to improve their bottom line. That should be way, way up there. In fact, that should be in your summary statement. Not only are you a 20 plus year seasoned CISO, you're also a manager of your own consultancy, and you've with proven results of 10xing companies and establishing companies to be the fastest growing in America for 4 years running. That is a way stronger resume. Like, if that was your summary, I'm going to be like, all right, tell me more about Zen. I want Zen right now because Zen is able to do this for other companies. He's going to do it at my company too. Yeah? Am I getting the point across? This guy here, he's got a ton of value. I think we need to hire Zen at Level Effect. Zen, help Level Effect go and 10x us, please. See, like, now I'm interested in Zen. Yeah, Chris, it's one thing to tell someone what they need to do well, but people have a lot more value than they think. It's just they kind of get caught up in their heads. Cool. So Zen, I think that's good enough. I think that the general sentiment here is I want to see more metrics. I want to see a stronger summary. And if you shortened it, you could put that up there. And maybe tell me a little bit more about the posterity increases the businesses that you've been able to do by hiring and culturally developing them. And your home labs are good. But I don't know, okay, so home lab, this is good, but what's the purpose of it? I think that's what you need to answer. Yeah, but like for what? It just sounds like, hey, like I'm playing with tools and technology, but is it a... Okay, so your home lab is not a home lab then, if it's just a way for you to talk about Terraform and Ansible. Then your home lab is a security infrastructure and pipeline development and testing lab. That's what your home lab is. You see how much of a difference that makes if you say that's what it is, as opposed to just, hey, home lab? So you got the goods, but you're not saying it. You got to be a little more descriptive. So all good stuff. Just go ahead and change what the purpose of this home lab is, and maybe talk a little bit about a project or two within it that you had like a learning lesson or a significant milestone achieved. That'd be my recommendation for this. Single player CTF, capture the flag. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. Currently planning development. Yeah, this is great. I would also caution. So again, I know what it is because you've described it, and maybe this description talks a little bit more about it. But the title of it, maybe I think you can consolidate that a little bit better. Maybe this is like a personal, maybe like gamified security development experience, or gamified security development testing ground. Maybe just give that a little bit. Yeah, CTF cybersecurity learning platform. Yeah, there you go, inside the chat. Yeah, so that's what it is. That's a better thing to call it. And then maybe give like, no, I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's solid. This is really good. Just change the name, and then that is killer. All killer, no filler. Cybersecurity competition CTFs. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that should be like a little bit higher, man. That okay, so because you're experienced, and for everyone else in chat as well, if you have experience in the field, then you need to be putting up your like awards and accolades and business achievements high. Like when you don't have experience, your achievements don't exist. So we just assume that you don't have them. But after you have like 3 to 5 plus years in the field, your business achievements should be like right after your summary. And I think that's where you can go back over here, and instead of summary of skills, maybe you can put summary of achievements. That's where you can put your 10x. That's where you can be fastest growing company 4 years over, developing, I don't know, like beta testing, like you're currently beta or alpha testing, maybe alpha testing a CTF cybersecurity learning platform. Man, slap that stuff right at the top, reduce your personal bio a little bit, and put your business value of summary of achievements or working achievements. Bam. You're going to get hired. I would hire you if we could afford you. You sound expensive. You sound like you're top shelf. Yeah. I mean, like in Monopoly money, Zen, I would I'd slip you a couple hundo. But that Monopoly money is pretty good because it ages. It actually, like, it's a rare currency. If it's out of print, it's actually gonna go up in value. Just giving you a hard time, man. Yeah. Good stuff. I hope that helped. I think that's some good tips for you to kind of get started on stuff. Sweet. Also, Enigmatic, thanks for the follow. Just saw that now on the side. So into it. I need to get those notifications telling me things. Yeah, for sure. I'm not. I know, Chris, you're dying for me to go through this. So, Chris, I want to go through your resume. I think I'm gonna have to do like a part 2 stream. Now that my stream actually works with a Wi-Fi card, I'll figure that out later what happened. But Adita, Daniel, this is good. As you can see, like I take my time with this stuff. I like to review it and talk about it. We got 4 more to go. I'm gonna have to put that into the second stream because it's already like, how long now? So coming up to 2 hours, including technical difficulties. I'm glad everyone liked it. Let me switch back over to my, there we go. Yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Chris. Do you think the projects finished for micro certificates hold weight for non-experienced applicants? Yes, Leo, 100%. But you have to talk about the project. Don't just say you did it. describe what it, like, what's the purpose? Like, why did you do it? How does it translate to a business perspective? Yeah. Yes, projects. Experience is always going to be greater than education. And experience can be personal, paid, volunteer. It could be a lot of things. But experience is always greater than education. And then once you get experience, like with Zen, then you should have achievements. Then you can start talking about achievements. 6 degrees. What's after this? That's it. I'll hang out here for another couple minutes, and then we have an internal team meeting. But, yeah, I want to do more of these. I want to do more streaming over here to kind of work with the community and stuff. I want to do more resume reviews, more discussions and Q&A and stuff. Forge has lots of projects. You have your projects listed in your resume to a GitHub portfolio. Yeah, Drew, you should at least like summarize a little bit what your projects are in your resume, and then you can put it on a GitHub link for them to look into, but at least sell it within a line or two in your resume. Yeah, Captain Wolf, rest of CV's next stream. Yeah, man. I didn't think... I thought I was only at like 1 or 2 resumes. So, I think there's more inside of Discord too. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, there's... Okay, so there's 3 more resumes I got added in. Leo, you're welcome. Glad I helped. Yeah. I'm going to do more of these resume reviews on the next stream. And I think I might do the Facking Friday maybe at like 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. But I also want to do some longer streams. Like, I can stream longer, but I just have to plan for it. For everyone else, yeah. So, Drew, you'll rework yours for the next review. Yeah, and for everyone else listening too, all the feedback I was talking about with these other resumes, it's applicable. So everything from Adita and Daniel, I'm sure it applies in some way. So some of the key themes, let's kind of circle back a little bit here. Key themes being trim out the buzzwords, visual consistency, so the formatting, it's got to be good. We need some contrast, equal spacing between things. Have more white space so that we can have that contrast, so don't have like underlines everywhere. Your summary statement should be hyper focused and on target of what you want to do and what kind of job you're trying to get. And if you have experience, your achievements should go right up underneath that. If you don't, you should be focusing more on your home projects and labs if they're more applicable than your experience. Because remember, after this, you get into experience land. So after your summary, after your skills and your achievements and such, then you get into experience land. And you should be communicating right away what your experience is and how it's applicable to the job you're applying to. Metrics, lots and lots of metrics. Don't just describe what your job is. That doesn't really help anyone. We assume we know what it is. If you're telling us the title of being a software developer, we know you're a software developer. Don't just put a bullet pointer underneath telling me that you develop software. Talk about metrics and projects and things that had business value. And if you're applying for cybersecurity positions, make sure that it is communicating how you reduced or mitigated cyber risk, which had a positive impact on the bottom line of a business. That's going to be a key theme, I can imagine. But that should be enough to kind of get you started. And then once you actually have your resume ready and you want to apply that to a job posting, you should be looking at the job posting and read it and figure out like what is the business problem they're trying to get me to solve. Then put that on the resume. And your resume should communicate exactly just that. The better it does, the better chance you're going to be getting a interview. That's all I got. Thank you everyone for joining me on this Hacking Friday and for hanging around with the initial technical difficulties. I had fun. Thank you all very much. With that, I'm gonna pop off here. Any last minute questions you want me to cover? Great White North Wisdom. Yeah. Have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Go enjoy your Friday. Don't do any resume work tonight. It's Friday. Go watch a movie. Go play a game. Captain, you got your Sec Plus test tomorrow? You'll be good. You'll be good. When you do your test, do a single pass. And just answer the questions that you know right away, and skip the ones you don't, and then come back to the ones that you couldn't answer. Chances are it'll kind of jig your memory, and you'll remember those, or you'll see the question in different ways in other questions, and come back to them afterwards. And yeah, those those PBQs, performance-based questions in the beginning. If you look at it right away and you don't know, then don't do it. Just come back to it later, because they can take a lot longer than you think. What games are worth playing these days? I hear Elden Ring's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, you can edit answers, Woof. Ooh, Hunt. Maybe we'll do a level effect play stream one day. Maybe. But cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I had fun. Thanks for the resumes. We'll do some more next time. We'll either do the stream next Friday or maybe earlier than that. Maybe Friday, maybe we could do another day during the week. Maybe like in an evening. But have yourselves a good weekend. Thanks again for kicking around. If you have any other things you want to talk about, hit me up inside of Discord. I'll be there, the other instructors, other students. Always happy to help out. Keep on studying. And playing. I'm playing too. Amazing, you had an interview for a detection engineer? Yeah, I mean, I guess the salary kind of depends. 80K to 90K, it's kind of low in US, but if you're like in Canada or the US or Europe, it's pretty good. Yeah, I guess it could be better. Ask for more. Okay, cool. I'm gonna hop off. Everyone have yourselves a good weekend. See you later. Take care.